Ladies and gentlemen, something very interesting is taking place. They tried for 2 years to say that Trump worked with Russia. And now we know that Trump did not work with Russia, and he didn't obstruct any unlawful investigation that began by James Comey sharing classified memos. We know that from Chuck Grassley. So if you look up Comey's memos, are they classified? You'll get a whole lot of journalists saying, oh, they weren't classified. If you go to Chuck Grassley, he actually wrote a letter to Rod Rosenstein last year saying, hey, 4 of the 7 were classified. We had to read them in a skiff. This is on his website. And he gave his professor friend to then share with the New York Times 4 of 7. So that means at least 1 was classified, just basic logic that he gave. He leaked a classified document. But anyway, aside from that, the probe started with an unlawful transfer of classified data. You had James Comey committing perjury. You had Peter Strzok admitting, we will stop Trump. You had people using a dossier purchased by Hillary Clinton to obtain FISA warrants. You had people who, they're utilizing a CrowdStrike assessment like it's gospel, like it's the word of God. And this is absurd. You even have MSNBC saying today, we don't need proof of collusion because he's already colluding in plain sight. It's like they've lost it. And then they're like, well, did you tell Putin not to meddle in the next election? Look, the notion that Russia would inform us that Bernie Sanders was cheated, see, it all goes back to the rigged primary. Just remember that. The notion that Russia would meddle by informing us of our lack of democracy or of over-cheating within the Democratic primary, that is kind of something we should know and be happy about. We only believe James Clapper had no evidence that Russia hacked the DNC. The ODNI and DHS reports don't give any evidence that Russia hacked the DNC. The only evidence we have is from CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike was outsourced by the Democratic Party. This is all public knowledge from the Washington Post. Okay? Now they want Trump's tax returns. Now, William Barr knows exactly why. I'll get to the absurd nature of the Trump tax return hysteria. Because the thing, when it's cash flowed to Clinton Foundation amid Russian uranium deal, or 85 donors gave $156 million into the Clinton Foundation and then miraculously met Clinton, that you cannot paint a direct correlation between the money flowing into the Clinton Foundation and actual beneficial treatment for those who give the money. See, it's pretty clear-cut. This is an overt pay-to-play, essentially a bribery scheme. Rudy Giuliani said he put people away in prison based on this, and he said it's overt. It is overt. It's not only transparent, it's obvious. Now, they suspend logic with Clinton, and with Trump, 2 years, they found nothing. They actually fabricated everything, and now they're trying to say that he inflated his income. Number one, it is not a crime if he stated, well, you know what, my assets are worth this, and it's real estate, and so he goes, this is the New York Post, Trump told bank officials he was worth $3 billion as he tried to get a loan in 2004 to build the Trump International Hotel and Tower in Chicago. But after reviewing his finances, Deutsche concluded that he was worth about $788 million. Okay. Before we get to why that's like a non-issue, here's what Michael Cohen was. He pled guilty to lying on loan applications and lying on loans. Michael Cohen was $22 million in debt because of his taxi medallions. Cohen owed $22 million in loans against taxi medallions he owned and allegedly lied in order to clear the massive debt. The investigation, which began in July 2007, so they first said that he was in Prague and he worked with Russian agents according to the Steele dossier. That was nonsense. He was suing BuzzFeed. And he had to drop the lawsuit because then the Mueller probe went after him. Now he flipped and sang, and everything he's saying about Trump is complete nonsense. But whatever. He was defending Trump. Now he's not defending Trump, so he gets only 3 years in prison. But the investigation, which began in July 2017, found that Cohen lied about income from consulting in 2017 in order to pay to avoid paying back loans and failed to disclose tens of thousands of dollars. Okay, so by making misrepresentations, Cohen avoided making monthly payments on his loans. The guy had $22 million in loans, and they found this out, and they got him. This is different. So they're like, well, look, Cohen, pleaded guilty to all of this, and Trump did the same thing. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's not the case. They've yet to actually state an endeavor or a business venture or a real estate deal where he engaged in criminal activity. They're only alluding to the fact that, well, he misrepresented how much he was worth. Despite the concerns, the bank lent him more than $500 million. Okay, how did he do with that? Well, it all worked out. He's now worth $3 billion. But even if you say that, well, it's not worth $3 billion, it was beneficial for the bank to work with him. Now, the issue here is that the bank suffered with Michael Cohen. The banks did not suffer with Trump, at least not in this example. Trump told the bank he was worth $3 billion. He's only worth $788 million. Okay, who knows? Maybe he was adding up all the real estate that he owns without the liabilities. Who knows what he was doing? But this is not cash flow to Clinton Foundation amid Russian uranium deal and President Obama failing to veto the sale. You always have to go back to the criminality linked to Clinton because that's actual criminality. This is not a crime. Then you have a Mother Jones article saying, well, he's indebted to Deutsche Bank. It's like, well, Germany is an ally. I thought this whole thing with Trump and NATO and we were supposed to, I don't get the connecting of the dots with Trump is an overt political attempt at undermining him. Despite the concerns, the bank lent him more than $500 million. Sue the bank. Don't go after Trump. If this is a huge, grandiose issue, then also investigate why 85 donors gave $156 million into the Clinton Foundation, and then they met with Hillary Clinton when she was Secretary of State. And where are the records of these meetings? Maybe the deleted emails, 33,000. Okay. What about the UBS money? UBS gave money into the Clinton Foundation, then Bill Clinton gave money into the Clinton Foundation. The IRS wanted thousands of accounts that they wanted to audit, and then Hillary intervened. This is in the Washington Post and the Atlantic before, well, the Washington Post is still legit, but before almost the entire media became an extension of the DNC. So if you're utilizing this Sherlock Holmes mentality where you have to just always go with the story and the scoop and find corruption, look at Clinton and the actual, overt corruption. So she utilized her post to ensure that UBS and thousands of accounts were not looked at by the IRS, and then, because of money that was given to the Clinton Foundation, and then Bill Clinton got a $1.2 million speaking arrangement. And then there's the Boeing deal. Boeing gave money into the Clinton Foundation. Hillary helped them with a multi-billion-dollar deal in Russia. Then there's weapons deals. Countries gave money into the Clinton Foundation, and oh, by the way, there's miraculously, what a coinkydink, they received exponentially greater weapons deals. That's David Sirota, who doesn't like Trump, who's a liberal, and the people to the left of him don't like him. So, if you want to talk about pay-to-play schemes, you want to talk about leverage, the Clinton Foundation is an overt money laundering racket. You have $10 billion raised. I interviewed Daddy Cherry in the Huffington Post. Well, where's the $10 billion for Haiti? Only 3% of the money was given to the people of Haiti. You have Uranium One giving millions into the Clinton Foundation, and then it's a coincidence that President Obama didn't veto the sale? Even Snopes says that Obama did not veto the sale. Only Obama could have vetoed the sale. So then they say, well, it's debunked. Clinton didn't have any power. No, she was on the Committee on Foreign Investment. She said nothing. But Bill Clinton met with Vladimir Putin. So now Putin has nothing on the Clintons? I just don't understand. What is it that they want to find out? If the bank doesn't have a problem, And there was no criminal activity associated with this. So Michael Cohen, when he pled guilty to lying, he was in $22 million in debt. And we're not talking about the debt that Trump has. Real estate is a highly leveraged industry. You have to go in debt a lot of times to buy a piece of property or a gigantic piece of property or whatever. It's highly leveraged, okay? And then eventually you make your money. But this kind of, well, he was only worth $788 million. This would be a huge problem if he was worth like, $100,000 or $2 million. Okay? Michael Cohen pleading guilty is not the same as Trump with a $3 billion saying he's worth $3 billion. He's only worth closer to $1 billion, and then he gets a $500 million loan. In 2010, Trump sought a $100 million loan from the bank to buy the Doral Golf Resort in Florida. And then bank officials examined personal and corporate income that estimated his real estate assets by... He overestimated his real estate assets. The loan was eventually approved. Okay, but the loan was approved. So who's the problem is with who? Trump or the bank? The bank is deciding. Again, you'd have to prove that Trump deliberately, that he had no way of saying he was worth twice as much or 3 times as much. In real estate, it's very difficult. Because if you're just adding up what the real estate value is worth, and you're not kind of explaining your liabilities and how much you're in debt because of that real estate value, then you could say, well, we were answering this based on the assets that we have. Who knows? I mean, this is not like we're not talking about Al Capone here or Hillary Clinton. The loan was eventually approved. And so what? What's the problem? Where's the criminal behavior here? You're just unhappy that the loan was approved, Democrats. You want Trump's taxes so you can say, well, Deutsche Bank shouldn't have approved the loan. Take it up with Deutsche Bank. This is different from the overt money laundering that takes place with the Clinton Foundation, where she's actually hooking up and actually doing favors for individuals, corporations, and companies. I mean, you have all of this, and you have Papadopoulos with the honey trap, and they tried to, this woman who worked with Halper tried to get him in the sack and all that. It's like, word to the wise. Let me tell you something, if some gorgeous model comes to you for no reason, and you you have some information that might be of importance, it's probably not your charm or good looks. It's probably just some issue. So that's what happened with Papadopoulos. Stephen Halper, who was an informant, FBI informant, not only tried to use that to get him to admit something that never happened, but Alexander Downer wasn't even interviewed by the Mueller team. Natalia Veselnitskaya wasn't interviewed. This is the Trump Jr. link to Putin. Why? Joseph Mifsud wasn't interviewed by Mueller. Gee, I wonder why. 3 of the top people were not interviewed. Downer isn't even mentioned in the report. So Dumbo Downer's not even in the report. You have overt setup framing, but it's like, where's the criminal behavior here? We don't know. Trump loaned Deutsche Bank loaned Trump more than $2 billion despite red flags. So take it up with Deutsche Bank. Take it up with it's like, what do you want to get from this? And how does this, how do tariffs help Deutsche Bank? Trump, what he stands for is completely against what these giant financial firms stand for. An interventionist foreign policy helps banks. And, tariffs hurt banks. Tariffs hurt the same people who hang out, like Goldman Sachs, Deutsche Bank, all these people They all hang out together. They go to the same functions. They go to the same, functions in London, functions in New York or D.C. or whatever. Trump is not their cup of tea. And if Capital One or Deutsche Bank or any other bank that works with Trump loans him money, it's beneficial for the bank because they know he has a brand that has been in the spotlight since the early 80s. His success is repulsive to Democrats. Clinton's overt pay-to-play schemes they're just okay because you can't prove anything. With Clinton, you have to put your thinking cap on, and Democrats demand that you prove without a shadow of a doubt that something horrible happened. And if you can't prove without a shadow of a doubt, then you have no business putting two and two together. You have no business. So those deleted emails, they were about yoga. And if you even ask anymore, you are a horrible, conspiratorial, horrible human being. And so and here you have like PolitiFact, and one of the rare times that it's actually, we know this, the banks no longer loan Donald Trump. This is Weiner, Anthony Weiner. So July 27, 2016, we know this, the banks no longer loan Donald Trump money because he's a terrible risk. So he goes to those Russian oligarchs and borrows money. Even that's mostly false from PolitiFact. Anthony Weiner lacks collateral in a claim about Donald Trump's loan sources. At PolitiFact, we operate on the principle that the person making the claim is responsible for providing evidence. In this case, the evidence is lacking. And then, of course, they had to, in part because Trump has revealed so little. Look, do you think the pay-to-play schemes, this is when they say like Clinton was transparent. That's hilarious. Do you think the pay-to-play schemes of the Clinton Foundation are mentioned in her tax returns? No, they're not. No, they're not. So the IRS, and the hilarious thing about all of this, the IRS, William Barr knows exactly why Democrats have demanded Trump's taxes, because they're going from one non-issue to another non-issue. We can also go to 2015. So he's always been, when they say, well, he inflated his assets, how do you know? The guy is worth $3 billion now. Even if you're worth $788 million, if you put $3 billion on a loan application and you're just counting the dollar value of, the endless amount of real estate that you own or golf courses or whatever, you can misinterpret that and say, well, the total assets technically, if you just want to add what the properties that we have are worth, are X amount of dollars. $3 billion. Okay. Oh, you wanted me to add the liabilities? Fine. But this doesn't hurt anyone. You're utilizing a level of suspicion that you don't utilize across the board for Clinton. So when Clinton utilizes servers outside the U.S. government where she transfers top secret intelligence, which would be a dream for Aldrich Ames and Robert Hansen, you're saying, oh, well, that's okay. You can't prove anything there. But there's more criminality there. Your Democrats are upset with the banks that lend money to Trump to make him more wealthy. So, and you never heard this hysteria. Like in 2016, Donald Trump falls 35 spots on the Forbes 400. Last October, Trump was richer than ever. Real estate markets were surging, and his net worth hit $4.5 billion. $4.5 billion, a personal high. Good for the 121st rank on the Forbes 400. Now, due to cooling property prices and new information about his holdings, Forbes puts Trump's fortune at $3.7 billion. This is in 2016. As a result, Trump has fallen 35 spots. This is by Chase Peterson, Withorn, Forbes staff, October 4th, 2016. Okay, right before he wins. That, nobody thought he'd win, except me, on the left. Of course, there were sticks who actually called individual states, which is better than me. It was amazing. But Trump and his father, Fred, appeared on the inaugural issue of the list in 1982. He was on the inaugural issue of the wealthiest people's list, the Forbes 400 or Forbes 100 or 500 or whatever, however many it was in 1982. Trump and his father appeared on the inaugural issue of the list in 1982 with a shared fortune value at more than $200 million. An avalanche of debt stemming from bad business deals knocked the Donald out of the ranks in 1990, but 6 years later, riding robust real estate market, Trump returned on the list with a fortune of $450 million. If your money or your net worth is tied to real estate, it's going to fluctuate a lot, even within 5 or 6 months. Okay, then when the New York Times said, well, you know what? I mean, he got all of these loans, and that's an issue between the bank and him. So go after the banks. Clinton the other day said, oh, well, you know, China, if you're listening, the IRS. It's like, the IRS has his. They already have all his information. They have his returns. You're not going to derive anything from his tax returns. Nothing. Because you haven't accused him of a specific crime. Simply saying he inflated his net worth, that's up for debate. And it's also an issue with the bank itself. The bank had an issue with Michael Cohen. I think they even warned, there was some kind of, when it was all going down with his taxi business, the bank that he utilized let the government know. But by 2015, Forbes estimated he was worth 10 times as much as property value as property values continued to soar, especially in New York. At $4.5 billion, he appeared alongside Walmart heiress Ann Walton Cronkite, ahead of New Balance owner New Balance. Wow, I didn't know that. New Balance owner Jim Davis and fellow Manhattan real estate tycoon Sheldon Slough. Okay, so by 2015, he was worth 10 times what he was worth in the 90s. While Trump fell, many others gained. Okay, so they want his taxes just to hound him, just to torment him. And there's no chance at all. There's zero chance at all. Zero chance. Absolutely zero chance that the Supreme Court would side with Democrats, because there isn't an actual cash flow to the Clinton Foundation amid Russian uranium deal by Uranium One, and Uranium One was able to obtain 20% of U.S. uranium capacity. This is a huge issue. Even the New York Times wrote this. Nothing's been debunked about it. The only theory that was debunked, nothing that I've ever said, was that Clinton controlled it herself. And Clinton allowed the deal to take place. I never said that, ever. No one who understands what took place has ever said that Clinton owned 20% of U.S. uranium capacity and then had the deal go through because she decided. The issue is an overt paid-to-play that arouses suspicion, the same suspicion people have over Trump's taxes. They've yet to actually state that he committed a crime. Okay, it is not a crime what he engaged in. It's not the same as Michael Cohen. Take it up with the bank. They're the ones who continually gave him, year after year after year, hundreds of millions of dollars in loans. Why do you think that is? It's because the bank's not stupid. He wasn't even running for office until 2015. They make money with him. That's why they lend him the money. But anyway, he was on the inaugural list. The guy was always wealthy. And when was the last time you heard that he was part of this, Whitewater type scandal? He had bankruptcies. Fine. But the real estate business is not in the way that, with Trump buying properties and, taking risks. It's not that safe of a business. So he had bankruptcies, fine. But now, New York Times tax documents show Trump's businesses lost more than $1 billion. Yeah, so what? Decades in red. Trump tax figures show over $1 billion in business losses. Okay, he has a whole bunch of businesses. He's worth still $3.7 billion as of 2015. So how is he worth all of this money? How is he worth all of this money? These are the wonderful economists at the New York Times. 5 takeaways from 10 years of Trump's tax figures. Okay, the New York Times are not a bunch of accountants. They're a bunch of anti-Trump Democratic Party partisans. You could notice how they don't do this with the Clinton Foundation, which is a charitable organization. There are far more loopholes. And then people say, what does the Clintons have to do with this? Because, my God, imbeciles. If you are utilizing this suspicion, this quest for truth, then why ignore the biggest culprits in terms of being compromised by foreign entities, engaging in shady business practices or tax practices or whatever? According to Daddy Cherry and Clinton Foundation expert that I interviewed, Charles Ortel, the Clintons don't even have technically a charitable foundation that is set up properly. The Clinton Foundation isn't even set up properly. It was initially a library. And the Clinton Foundation itself has never been really audited by the IRS. Okay, Trump is under audit at this moment. So it's like, so 5 years of takeaways. Oh my God. The tax numbers for the years 1985 through 1984 paint a far bleaker picture of Mr. Trump's deal-making abilities and financial condition. So what? So now what are you alluding to? Mr. Trump was deep in the red even as he peddled his deal-making advice. Okay. In multiple years, he appeared to have lost more money than nearly any other individual taxpayer. I guess more for write-offs? I don't know. What are you trying to do, help him? He paid no federal income taxes for 8 of the 10 years. Yeah, Warren Buffett doesn't really either. He paid millions posing as a corporate raider until investors realized he never followed through. Okay, well, where are the lawsuits that he has to file regarding that, or that he has to defend himself? His interest income spiked in 1989 at $52 million, but the source is a mystery. Oh my God! So it's like, well, that was in 89. Was there when was the last time you heard of Trump? Mnuchin does Trump's bidding by withholding tax returns. Oh my God. Huge losses and conflicts of interest. They've not yet explained one conflict of interest. You've not yet explained. There's a million with Clinton. Giving weapons deals, exponentially greater weapons deals because of money flowing into the Clinton Foundation to countries that shouldn't obtain them. That, like, in terms of the YouTube algorithm, if I say the country's name, it's like a big problem. So I won't even. The New York Times obtained a decade of President Trump's tax information, showing that for that period, 1985 to 1984, Trump was regularly one of the biggest money losers among all American taxpayers. So what? What? How is that a crime to lose money now? So what? And Deutsche Bank kept giving him money. Yeah, so what are you going to do? Sue Deutsche Bank? What exactly took place? How did this harm national security? Because Trump didn't transfer top secret intelligence outside of the United States government to hide his foundation emails, which is what Clinton did. And Comey actually stated that in the exoneration memo, which was hilarious. He was like, yeah, she did this. There was 100 email chains, special access program intelligence, your top secret intelligence. There were information marked classified, but she didn't mean to do it. Oh, and she deleted 33,000 emails without government oversight. Literally with her lawyers saying, oh yeah, this is classified, this isn't. I mean, it's like hilarious. It's hilarious. Oh my God. By the time his Master of the Universe memoir, Trump, The Art of the Deal, hit bookstores in 1987, Donald Trump was already in deep financial distress. Well, then why in 2015 was he still atop the Forbes 500? Oh my God. Oh my God. 400. It's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. Mnuchin does. Why should Trump's history? Let's see. He lost more money. Oh my God, they lost money. He really $1 billion a decade. Yeah, it's called real estate. Why is he still atop the Forbes? Why was he on the inaugural list, and why is he still atop? So they're saying, is he like homeless now? What's the deal? Is he doing Deutsche Bank's bidding in terms of foreign policy? Like, I don't know, giving 20% of U.S. uranium capacity to Putin? What? Hooking up UBS? And then getting Bill Clinton with a... And then we know from the DNC emails, 500 conflicts of interest. So, like, what are they trying to say? What is the specific crime that he's committed within a specific venture? They still haven't stated that. They still haven't stated that. It's, well, he colluded with Russia. How? We don't know, but it happened. He committed crimes by inflating his net worth. Which deal? When? What year? A whole bunch of years, and a lot of bad things happened. And we need to see his taxes. Give me your thoughts below. They're going after him. William Barr knows exactly why. Because William Barr is going to go after. He's going after all of them right now. He's going after all of them right now. Whoa. Give me your thoughts. Definitely check out my Federalist articles below, and my Patreon is below if you want to support my voice long term. Thank you.